is working, but there we go again. That's like this.
Okay.
So maybe you should just redo everything.
Yeah.
There we are.
So, are we introing ourselves again?
Yeah. So yeah, we will restart. We have a slight issue with our camera. So once again, welcome to our live stream session. Now it works. Finally, nice to have you here. Again, for those of you who just joined us, we are here with Brian, our game designer, and myself, Sebastian. We will show you some Fightlings today and answer all the questions you might have. So the first question was, how does the deck building in Fightlings actually work? And Brian will show us just that. He already did a moment ago, but yeah, we have camera issues, so we're back now.
So let me tell you a little bit about the cards in Fightlings. So I have actually split our deck in half because every creature card in Fightlings has a duplicate pair that you use in the final game. So the cards I'll show you here, everything I'm included at the moment, this is only half of the cards you get in the final set. Now, the version of the game we're making right now has two colors, orange and green. We are looking into printing more colors if we hit further stretch goals. However, right now it's a two-player game with orange versus green. So I'm going to walk you through some of the green card, which is my favorite set. And the first thing you need to know about deck building in the game is that there are a few rules for how you build a deck. The main one is your champion cards. So each deck can only have one of the champion cards, and we are going to have 3 or 4 in the final version per color. So these are really powerful creatures that really have a lot of influence in the way that your deck is going to play. Then we have the Fightling cards here, which come in different teams. And they match, they're basically paired to the champions. So this is the champion of the Blossom, these are Fightlings of the Blossom, and their artwork is all very synergistic. This is a big element in the mobile game as well, that these creatures all kind of work together. And you can mix and match, so I can have the champion of the beast and minions of the herb and some minions of the blossom and all mixed and matched together. But a lot of each of the different teams has different keywords and different abilities. So a lot of the cards that I made with synergy with each other tend to be from the same group. And the idea is, like, if you're building this very cookie cutter deck, like very synergistic deck, you're going to have a lot of creatures that look very similar. So if you see these are minions or Fightlings of the Beast, they're all kind of animals with skeleton features and skeleton faces and stuff. And the minions of the herb all have these sort of glowy eyes and leafy tree bodies. So it makes them a little bit more difficult to find in the memory game because sometimes they look a little similar. So that's something you have to take into account in deck building, which is sort of unique to our game compared to other deck building games, is that the artwork actually really matters a lot more. And so
yeah, it's not just about how nice it looks, but actually
so can't remember
similar. Yeah, I
can't remember which one it was.
Was it
I find that everyone who plays the game comes up with little devices to help them remember which creature is which, especially with the blossom. They all kind of have these purple flowers on them. So this is the fairy-looking one, and this one is the more poisonous-looking one, and this one looks like a cactus. But so you have to, like, in your head, think like, oh, Cactus Man, where's that guy? And it's even more so with the minions, I find. So then the third type of creature in the game are minions, and you have to use at least 2 minions, but you can put as many as you like. There's no rule for how many Fightlings you can have, but minions you have to have at least 2, which I'll go into in a minute why that's the case.
And so we can have an all minion deck for all the minion fans out there.
Yeah, and some of them are pretty good. Like a lot of them, they're typically the minion creatures typically are a little bit weaker, but they also can buff each other or get buffed by the champions. A lot of champions refer to the number of minions in play or the number of minions that have died. Like there's a minion graveyard creature. And yeah, some of them do look pretty similar. So this is actually 3 green minions that all have different head dresses, and so it's kind of fun when you're playing, like if you're playing with multiple of these, trying to remember which one is where can be a little tough.
So what makes the champions better in that sense? Fightlings is that they're easier to differentiate from each other.
Oh yeah, champions are always, I mean, you only have one champion in your game, but it's once you see your champion, it's hard to forget where you found it. It's, yep, right there on that side or whatever. And then the fourth kind of card are effect cards. So these are cards that only have singles. So you only put one of each, or one of any effect in your deck. When you flip it in the game, you don't need to find the pair. It just triggers immediately. Even if it's your opponent's turn, you still get the effect. So if it's Orange's turn and Orange flips a green effect, it goes to the green creature or green player and resolves immediately before continuing play. Essentially, one of the cornerstones of the rule set for Fightlings is that everything that triggers always resolves itself before continuing. So we don't have any kind of stack. We don't have any waiting. It's just like, oh, you matched a creature. Let's see what it does. Let's resolve all of its effects, and then you can continue flipping cards or finding more effects. And I guess there's a fifth kind of card that we haven't talked about yet, and this is the wild card. These ones, because the game has an odd number of cards in play, the wild cards, basically there's one per game, and they have a random effect. So maybe you flip it over and you have to shuffle a bunch of cards, or you flip one over and everyone gains some health back. Or one of the more interesting ones is that when the wild card is revealed, all players can discard victory points to gain their health back. So it's like an exchange. Like it opens up a market exchange for one turn.
So they can be a real game changer.
Yeah, yeah. There's also going to be new wild cards that we're working on now, which help rebalance the game mid-game. So basically, wild cards might often give an effect to the player who's currently losing with health or losing in victory points.
So they can be a nice catch-up mechanic.
Yeah.
To counter the random effects of the game.
So to go over some of the effects for the green cards and what they might, how you might build a deck around them, let's look at some of the champions first, because this is how I would always start building a deck. A deck, by the way, has 17 cards. So essentially your options are to either have 8 creatures in one effect, or to have 7 creatures in 3 effects. And that would add up to 17 cards in each scenario.
Can you have even 5 effects?
You could. I don't think that would be a very good deck. I think you would have a really hard time dealing enough damage.
Yeah, those effects are only one-time effects.
There's certainly no rule against it. But so let's start with False Indigo, the champion of the Blossom. It's one of my favorites. This one.
Can you show a bit?
Yeah. So it's big poisony flower lady, and she has X attack and X health. And in this case, X is equal to your victory point tokens divided by 3, rounded up. Which essentially means if you flip your champion and you don't have any victory points left, she immediately dies. She has no health. But as long as you have 1 victory point, she has 1 health and 1 attack. And this X here is live. So as you gain more victory points, you're going to keep this creature is going to keep getting stronger and stronger. So for every 3 victory points, she gets better.
This creates a very interesting scenario in my head when the opponent sees her and tries to flip her early before anyone has any victory points.
Yeah.
So you can actually kill her before anything.
Yeah, we haven't really encountered this as a problem very much. Like victory points are typically pretty easy to get, and it's sort of a handicap that any green player needs to build around. So green is really good at getting victory points. There's a lot of options here. So if we look at some of the effects, one of my favorites that's not super obvious is this Soul of Glory effect. And this one causes both players to get 3 victory points when it's played. So it doesn't need to be paired. So as long as this one gets found, both players get 3 victory points. It doesn't necessarily benefit one player over the other, but because green is so much better at utilizing the victory points, it probably serves the green deck a little better than it serves the orange deck. Typically, it depends on the orange build.
Sure.
But this creature does, like, I would never play False Indigo without putting Soul of Glory in it. It just seems like such a perfect pairing. As well as there's other minions that also gain a victory point when they flip. So it's very unlikely that people get False Indigo before getting any victory points. It's only happened a few times. Now, if we were going to go with this creature as our champion, she's pretty versatile because the more victory points you get, she also gets better as a creature. So you can play a really fast beatdown deck with this creature and use the other victory point generating cards to help make a really strong creature to kick through enemy walls and so on. So there's some options there. And if we look at Claused, I did not name this one. There's another really cool one. One of our poster children for the game. One of our coolest pieces of art for sure. His ability, he's a pretty strong creature at 2 attack, 4 defense, and his ability is that when you match an enemy pair, you gain an additional 2 victory points. So one of the key mechanics in the game is when you find your own creature on the board, you get to keep it. If you find an enemy pair on the board, your enemy gets the card, but you get paid for it. So you get victory points equal to their victory point tokens, as well as an extra move, so you can chain into longer combos.
This actually ties in one of the questions our viewers asked, like, when would you flip over a pair versus when would you decide not to? So with a channel like this one, you would actually want to flip over enemy.
Yeah. When I play with this champion, what I like to do is I put other creatures in my deck that are good at peeking, because I want to get this guy out as fast as possible. Like, because the earlier I get him out, the more likely I am to find enemy matches. So I usually put in a minion that has a peek ability, so that when I flip the minion, I get to like look at 4 cards and see what's under them, so that I can find this guy faster. Because this one can really push to an early victory point win. But he's also a good creature. He's a 2/4, so he's something that when you get him out, your enemy's going to want to kill this guy for sure.
Because we talked a lot about victory points and health, one question was actually, what are the different win conditions? So we will play a game right after this, but before we play, what is how do you play the game? How do you win the game?
Yeah, so there are 3 ways to end the game. You can either kill your opponent, so each player at this point has 12 hit points, and if you reduce your opponent's life down to 0, then you win, obviously. But the game can also end if either player collects 10 victory point tokens, these little yellow guys at the moment. So if you collect 10 victory point tokens, then the game ends and you count up victory points. So it is possible that you get 10 victory points, but you don't win because your opponent has a lot of creatures. Creatures at the end are worth victory points equal to this number in the upper right. So this all Fightlings are typically worth 3, champions are typically worth 4, and minions are worth 2. There are a few exceptions with creatures that have a variable number of victory points as well. And some champions are worth 5, I think. So if you can collect 10 victory point tokens, and then the third way to end the game is to clear the entire board. So there are 37 cards on the board, and
everyone got flipped over.
Even number 38 cards on the board. And if they all get flipped, then the game's over.
And then who wins?
It's a victory point win as well. So basically, if all the cards are flipped, then you count victory points and see who won. And that's a combination of the tokens you have plus the victory point value of all of your living creatures. So any creature that came out and died is not worth anything anymore. So you want to keep your creatures alive. This is very important to winning if you think you're going to get to the end game, essentially.
So you can play faster or longer rounds and build your deck accordingly to what your strategy is.
Basically, we tuned the game so that we tried to tune it so that the game ends through card loss about 15 or 20% of the time. Most games end a little earlier with either a victory point showdown or with death by creatures. So that was kind of important to us. We wanted it to never feel like, oh, it's super rare to use the whole board, or you always use the whole board. It was like, it's something we're still tuning, and it's something that's really important to me to make sure that like every game feels very different and doesn't get stale.
Nice. So how about we play the game and see how different it can be? Because actually one of our viewers is eager to see some action.
So, Flores.
So we have a board prepared.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nice.
We can scoot this over. So. Okay, so we prepared a little game. This uses some pre-made decks that I built for the game. So these are the decks that we brought to Essen for the Internationale Spieltag.
Hmm.
Did I pronounce that right?
Spieltage. Yeah, Spieltage.
Yeah, Spieltage. So we were showing the game at Essen this year, and these are some of the pre-made decks we made. They're fairly generic decks for each color.
Mm.
But
so first question, of course, is why are there only something?
Yeah. So
why not be a match?
So when I mentioned earlier that you have to have 2 minions in any deck, this is why. Basically, to help the game speed up. Well, let me backtrack one step. Both of the decks, the orange deck and the green deck, are shuffled together and played face down on the board.
So everyone has this deck, but we have one board combined of the two.
And if you want to play a creature, you have to find that creature first. So if you can find the matching pair of creatures, then that creature gets played. And to make the game go faster, 2 of the creatures are flipped face up for each team. And these are the minions. So they're a little bit on the weaker side, creature-wise, but you can get them out much faster because any player only needs to find the other card from either of these creatures. So yeah, that's why you have to have at least 2 minions. Because 2 of them get played face up. So Sebastian, why don't you do your orange and green? So why don't you?
I start. Why do I start? Actually, someone else
well, you can. Well, I'm just being nice, I guess.
Oh. Oh, are you actually?
Well, here's the thing. We're actually not totally sure if going first is an advantage. In some of my tests, I might think that going first is actually a disadvantage. So if you want me to go first, I will.
No, I can do it. So what do I do? Well, obviously you don't need to tell me, but maybe someone doesn't know.
So on your turn, you flip over 3 cards. Anywhere on the board, and if any of them are matched or are an effect of a wild card, you stop and resolve the card before continuing.
I can do that.
Go for it.
So I will go the easy route and flip over these 3. So no match there, but lots of cool Fightlings. So I guess I should remember where they are.
Yeah, so these 2 are mine, so I'm going to try and remember especially where those are. This one's yours. It's still good to remember where your opponent's cards are because they are still worth victory points if you can get them before your opponent. So oftentimes, sometimes you'll find your opponent flips over their last card and it reveals a bunch of information like, oh, now I know where their champion pair is. So obviously they're going to get the champion on the next turn. Mm. So I get to decide essentially, do I use my turn to try and get the champion for you so that I basically get paid for it and get extra moves? Or do I hope that maybe you forgot where it was? Or do I
always count on that?
Yeah, or do I just like force you to waste your turn flipping over a creature where we both know where it is? So there's like kind of 3 ways to think about this, and it really changes a lot depending on what state the game is in at the moment and what decks you're playing. So like obviously the green deck we talked about earlier wants to find your opponent's creatures because you get more victory points than normal for it. So lots of different ways that this plays out.
Okay.
Okay, so now that there were no matches, these cards get flipped back over. And now it's my turn. So I'm going to use the tactic of trying to scatter my picks around the board, which makes them harder for Sebastian to remember. So I know, okay, he already flipped those 3 cards. And if I see one that I remember, maybe I know, like, oh yeah, it was on his first move, so it's one of these 3. Even if I forget the exact location. So I have my own little method for playing this. So let's flip over diagonally.
One of my minions.
One of my minions, and that's
match.
Okay, cool. So I'm green, so this is my own creature. And even though it was my second pick, we still stop and resolve.
Can you show it?
Yeah. So this creature, it has an ability that says gain 1 victory point. So basically, this monster gets played, it goes on my side of the board, and I gain 1 victory point token towards my goal of 10. Now this creature is new, so it can't attack this turn, but on my next turn it can start attacking either Sebastian or his creatures.
Okay, and you have one more flip.
Right, that was my second move, so I have 1 more flip to go, and I'm going to stay with my pattern here and flip this one. So it's another one of my Fightlings. I don't think it's the one, it looks very similar to the ones you flip on your turn, but I don't think it's the same one. So, not that I could do anything even if it was, because that was my last move. So yeah, and this flips back over as well. And so you'll see as the game goes on, the board starts to get smaller, and things become easier to remember.
So I guess I should get some defense up here. Oh, this is your champion. I know this one. Well, and just
your champion,
my champion, just to mess with you, so I don't are that predictable. I will do this one.
But I remember where this was.
You do. Well, nothing for me there.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's it. We'll just put them off again.
Cool.
And see who remembers what.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing I'll do is just attack you for 1 damage. So this creature has 1 attack power, and Sebastian has no monsters, so my only option is really to attack his health directly. So
well, you have always the option to just leave me alone.
Yeah, sure.
Have a peaceful match.
Nice try. So I'm going to attack his health. We have these health tokens, and 1 goes away. So he's left with 11 health. You have 11 turns left.
One more quick note, though. Of course, you can see this is all a prototype. We actually assembled it ourselves. It was a lot of fun with scissors and tape. So the actual tokens will look much nicer, of course, as will the cards. But yeah, it works for us. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, one of the great things about going to Essen this year was that we met a lot of people who make the actual games, and we got a lot of quotes for.
Well, we got them beforehand too, but we
got more options for printing, and we got to see a bit more of the quality that each different group could do. So these would most likely be punch-out cardboard tokens. So like really easy to pick up and really easy to recognize. Maybe not square, but custom shapes tokens.
So yeah,
you're just distracting me, so I forget where my creature is. You're distracting.
That's what PR people do.
Okay, so let me try and remember where I go. I know this was your last move. It was one of my Fightlings. So let's show this guy. Okay, so it's the one with the basket.
The one with the basket.
Basket Fighting. Now, I don't remember exactly where it was. I remember the middle, on your first turn, the middle one was orange. The outside 2 were green.
Too good.
So, man, am I going to get it right? Let's see. Because if I get it right, then I get to use my last move for something cool. But, yeah, I got it. Okay.
So what does this one do?
So this one, when it attacks, so basically this one starts out as a 0/4. It has 0 attack power with 4 health. And when it attacks, it gets -1 health and +1 attack. So basically the first time it attacks, before damage is dealt, you give it a plus attack token and a minus health token. So that as it hits and damage is dealt, like it's already doing 1 damage. But eventually it will kill itself unless I can find a way to heal it. So this creature can get pretty gnarly if I find the other stuff that allows me to heal a creature or remove tokens.
Oh well.
Great. So I already attacked you this turn. Now I have 2 moves so far and 1 more move. Maybe I can match my third. get my other minion out. Just go for a random one. Oh, you already showed that, didn't you?
Or did I?
Middle card. Oh, there's my other champion. Okay. So now maybe Sebastian remembers where my champion was. I can't do anything about it. I remember where it is.
You have 1 victory point because now my brilliant strategy from beforehand could have put it in work if you hadn't 1 victory point already. So I could kill it right away.
That's why this minion is face up. I wanted to get this minion out first. Give me that 1 victory point.
So your strategy paid off then.
Yeah.
So I will just flip 1 over here just to get something. Why? Always yours. Always yours. Then. Of course, I remember where your champion was.
Don't flip it over here.
Sure. Of course, I remember. The question is now: should I turn over to get some easy victory points, or should I let you waste 2 of your moves?
I don't think it's a waste to use 2 of my moves to get my champion.
Yeah. Well, not waste, but use your moves. So maybe I use them to get lucky. Oh, it's a tough one. I can always hope that you won't remember that actually. One of my Fightlings, finally, but where's the other one? Of course it is here. I know it. Just not hope. Know it. So many different ones.
Okay.
I guess we almost saw all the cards there are.
So this one's a minion, but it's not one of Sebastian's face-up minions, so it's not a match.
Who built this deck? So many minions. We need all these minions. So yeah, no luck for me there.
It's a good minion. But yeah, we played I probably played close to 100 matches last week with this deck specifically. So they are I would say they are pretty well balanced against each other. So orange and green tend to win at about the same rate with this deck. But both are fairly balanced decks, not in terms of fairness, but also in terms of the ability to win with either victory points or with damage. Right. That none of them is like hyper focused on winning one way or the other. Okay, now I could get my champion because we both know where it is, but I only have 1 victory point, which means when the champion comes into play, it's only going to be a 1/1 creature. I would like to have a little bit more help.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I know that your deck has some damage dealing effect.
Okay, yeah.
So if I get my champion out, then you snipe it with an effect. Well, it's going to be bad. So I'm going to just wait. I'll even let you put it out, and I'm just going to use my turn to explore the board. So,
no,
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
I think so.
Oh,
what?
And here's Okay, so this creature is a 0/4 as well, just like my other 0/4. But this one cannot attack. It has an ability called Taunt, which means it's super annoying and you need to kill it before you can attack me. So
it annoys me right now.
It's just a little wall sitting there being annoying. And let's see, that was my second move, so I get 1 more move.
So from what I gathered so far, even just looking at these cards, haven't we seen them before?
Yeah. Do you remember where you found it?
I might. So from what I gathered, green seems to be a bit more of a defensive faction. Could you say that?
It can be very offensive. Like we talked about my champion that we're playing with now.
So sorry. Didn't want to.
Okay.
Well, so this is actually.
You can also use this one for. There's some text that didn't print on this one, but essentially you can use this for a victory point as well. So,
I guess I will do that.
So this is an effect that gives a creature a +1 attack, or you gain 1 victory point. Most effects have an or function inside of them because you can never really predict when you're going to get the card. So they usually have like an early game ability and a late game ability. In this case, since Sebastian has no creatures to give attack power to, then
I will just take the victory point.
So and then this is an effect card. It goes to the graveyard. So we'll put it aside here.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry for interrupting you. Of course, I remember seeing this one before.
Okay.
I pay attention to everything, not just question stream. So yeah, this I will do. So yeah, now I have my first matching creatures. They look really nice. There we go. Whoop.
So yeah, this
so
is
what does it do?
Fighting strategy, each time this creature takes damage, it gets 1 attack. So basically it refers to the number of times it takes damage, not the amount of damage. So this is actually pretty important. What you're going to want to do with that creature is probably attack my crappy minion, because then I'm only dealing 1 damage at a time, which then makes that stronger and stronger. And you also have, we saw your other minion around here. I'm not going to point exactly at it because I don't want you to remember any of these. But you have a minion here that also gives a creature +2 health. So that pairs really well with this guy. So this one is dealing damage, taking damage, but before they die, you want to give it some health back, and then it keeps its attack power, and then can be a big damage dealer.
Nice. So yeah, I can't attack this turn, of course, because it's the first turn that came in. But yeah, I have a creature now, which I find really nice. Okay. So yeah, go to the turn.
Okay, so I don't think. Yeah, I need to find one of your creatures so I can get some more victories.
What?
Oh, this goes.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Okay, let me try some new cards.
Oh yeah. Try some new.
So what just happened? This is I found Sebastian's minion. So this is his face-up minion. This one, when it dies in combat, the other creature is poisoned. So if I kill it with an effect, then nothing happens. But if it dies in like creature-to-creature combat, whoever killed it. Oh, thank you, DM47.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks, DM47, for being our 116th backer.
Yeah.
So yeah, welcome to the club. Be sure to spread the word, and if you have any questions, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, great. So so solid block lane is kind of a little poison bomb. So I think you've got another bomb creature in here too. You have another minion that when it dies deals some extra damage. You got a little bomb.
So you flip this over, and now I get the creature because it's mine, of course.
Right.
But you get something in return because you were the one flipping an enemy creature over. So
so since the solid block lane is not my creature, I basically get paid for finding it. So I get 2 victory points because he's worth 2, and I also get an extra move. So that was my first move. So I have 3 more moves because that becomes a bonus move essentially. So Forrest asked me some questions about why he should back Fightlings. Well, I guess watch and find out. If you like deck building games, then if you like card battlers, if you like casual games, this is we're playing slow because we're explaining it, but mostly games take about 15 minutes to play through. We like taking this game to the bar.
Yeah, it's nice.
Definitely sleeve your cards if you're taking it to the bar, but but it's a good game for like really fast deck building. A lot of us in the office play other card battle games as well, and while we like a lot of them, some of them the cards get so expensive, like I definitely wouldn't want to take them to the bar anymore. Or deck building takes so long, it's like you play the same deck over and over, and I have to go home and build a new deck if I really want to try something different. So those are a bigger time investment, and they're great. Like we love these games too, but we felt that this game is really we wanted to make a game that kind of fit this in between area where you don't want to play tic-tac-toe because it's been solved, or maybe the bar doesn't have chess, or you want to play with someone a little younger. Like, we find this game is pretty easy to pick up. It's a good first deck building game for someone, but it definitely has the depth that we would look for in a game to play ourselves as well.
Yeah, and there's much variety in it. So even if you don't build a new deck, you just can take the existing ones and just play again. It's fun because it's every round is different.
Okay,
so we were your turn. We had 3 moves left because you.
Yeah. So 3 moves left. Let's try. See if I remember which cards I've already flipped over.
Oh, sorry. One thing. Flores, of course, didn't ask if he should back the game, but bake. So why should he bake Fightlings? This is the actual.
Don't bake the game.
Oh,
it does not smell good. Okay. Plastic shrivels up, lights on fire, burns your house down.
Yeah,
not a good idea. Okay. So this is actually a good move. Okay, so I found your other champion.
This is nice.
okay, so here's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to tell you my secret. So,
Oh no,
I know
it already.
okay, this is a really great move. So, I think I remember where your champion is. I think I remember where my champion is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find your other champion.
How nice
is
of
going to
you.
give me 4 victory points. And then I'm going to find my champion, who will then be way stronger because I'll have more victory points.
Right.
And then she'll kind of be immune to all of your damage dealies. But now I need to remember where yours is.
You don't? Oh, maybe I can help you with it.
I need to either flip yours or mine, because if I match yours, I'll get an additional bonus move, which will allow me to trigger mine. It's one of these two. I'm almost certain of it. I think it's this one. Yeah.
You're too good.
I've been playing this game too much. I've actually gotten.
I
have a terrible memory, but yeah.
But you're getting better at it.
Getting better at it. It actually does. I can say totally unscientifically, this game improves your memory. I'm not a scientist. So Sebastian, you get a creature.
Champion,
I get 4
victory points because it's mine.
And because I get a bonus move, I still have 2 moves left. So if I remember where my champion is, I know one was the center card. That's easy to remember.
Where your champion is.
The other one was here. Now, the trick is to always flip the card you don't know first, because then if it's wrong, then you don't flip the other one. You're like, oh, I didn't get my champion, therefore I won't even try and flip the other champion. So this one I'm super confident is my champion. This one I'm a little less confident. So, yep, it is. Got it.
Could have just asked me. I know it.
Yeah, like you tell me the truth. Okay, so here we go. I got my champion. Now, look over here. So my champion's attack and toughness are equal to my victory points divided by 3. So 3 victory points is 1, 3 victory points is 2, and the last one rounds up to the 3rd. So this creature is now a 3/3, super strong creature. You know, I think I forgot to attack you last time. Speaking of,
well, that's one of
on me. That's my bad.
No, that's my tactic actually. So I know I can't win through the game because you're the designer, but I can use my cheap ass talking techniques, which is my strength in games, to distract you from attacking.
Okay, so now I've got a strong champion, not likely to die from Sebastian's little bombs anymore as a 3/3. And if I get more victory points, then they will get even stronger. Although if I get a few more victory points, I think I just end the game from victory points. So that's not bad either.
So how many victory points would you need?
Right now we're playing to 10. 10. This is the number we're still balancing as we play test. It's sort of like one of the control points we have for tuning how fast the game ends and how likely you are to finish the board before the game ends from victory points or damage. But right now we're saying 12 damage and 10 victory points is like a pretty fair way to play. Cool. So I still only have 2 attackers who can attack this turn, and now I have the option of killing your creatures directly. Now, right now your champion has no attack power.
Yeah. So we didn't get a chance to show.
Oh yeah. So your champion.
My champion looks really cool, of course, and also has the option whenever I match an enemy pair, it gains 2 attack. So,
right, so I'm going to want to kill that one before Sebastian can match any of my creatures. Not that there's many of my creatures left to find on the board.
Well, true.
So it's getting a little slim.
As a rule of thumb.
So I don't think I can kill you this turn, but I can do some damage. And because it has 0 attack power, it's pretty cheap to attack.
And of course, in the end of the game, it's worth 4 victory points. So
right, so I also want him to lose the 4 victory points that it's worth. Because I might end the game because of victory points. I mean, I've essentially already neutralized the victory point value because I got victory points for finding it.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of a wash on victory points, but if I can kill it, then I've essentially gained 4 victory points. So that's nice. So this creature has 1 attack and 2 health, and I attack your champion. Now, typically, each creature does their attack power to the other's damage. Now, because yours has 0 attack power, mine takes no damage. But with -1 health token, so I'm going to give you a -1 health token, and then take my creature back. And then the other one is a 0/4, right now. But if we walk through the turn order, I'm going to say I attack with this. As it's attacking, its ability is that it loses a health and gains an attack power. So now it's essentially a 1/3, which then deals 1 damage to you.
Right. So my champion looks pretty roughened up right now.
Yeah, so now you're a 0/1. So you're really going to want to heal that if you can. And that's the end of my turn. So that was a good turn, I think. Three creatures.
I guess so. I guess so. For you at least.
Yeah, 2 champions on the board.
So I have creatures too now. So when can I attack? Is it before the reveal or after? Or any kind of one?
We don't have a specific turn order. The player can choose to attack before or after the reveal phase. There are cases in which you would want to do it either way. So
this is part of the strategy then.
Yeah, there are times when you want to, if you're worried that you're going to give me a blocker that you, like a creature with taunt, then you might want to attack before. If you think you might be able to find a creature on the board that buffs your unit, then that can be a really good move as well. So like, oh, I know I have this minion who buffs attack power, so I'm going to try and find that minion first, and then I'm going to swing with the...
Yeah, I will go this way, I guess, because my champion may get buffed.
That's true.
Creatures.
That's true.
So I will reveal first and then attack later because, oh, I know this one. Haven't we seen him before? Did we flip him before? I'm not sure anymore.
I can't remember now.
No, this is okay. We are talking so much, but this is also the tough part of the game. So.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, that was totally my strategy, of course. You know that. So it's your creature.
We'll walk through now. The turn order gets a little more complicated now. So Sebastian found my creature, gets 3 victory points for fighting it, and an extra move. So
I did 2 moves, and of course 2 attacks.
Champion gets 2 attacks. So that's gonna.
Can we
get some more attack tokens?
We need more attack.
Health tokens as well.
So thanks to a wonderful assistant. So okay, and I had 1 move left, but I get an extra move for revealing your pair, so I have 2 moves left now.
Yeah. So can you find your Buffy minion?
Maybe.
Where's your Buffy dude?
Where is he? Oh, we didn't see this one before.
Okay, so I'm gonna my extra minion.
And just take it off. We know this guy.
Okay, so you have 1 move left.
No, these were my moves. No, I didn't.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, that's your turn.
Okay, so
okay, do I remember where this guy is?
I remember. Do you? Is the question.
No, I don't think I do.
Well, that's no problem.
I know it's generally here. It's somewhere on this side of the board.
Okay, so I did all my reveals, all my flipping, and of course I have to attack you now because you have this pesky taunt guy there who will block, well, I guess everything.
Exactly everything.
Exactly everything, because I have 2 attack here, 1 attack here, and 1 attack here.
So yeah, so even though it would resolve 1 at a time, we can just say quickly, you deal 4 attack power, my guy deals no damage against
you. I have to attack him because it's taunt, but each time this one attacks, it gains also 1 damage.
No, this time takes damage.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah, so he takes no damage from this move, so...
I would have liked him to take damage. Also interesting is the poison effect of him, but he doesn't have a place because he didn't die. But I read it correctly that when he dies in combat, he poisons the 1 creature that killed him. Yeah. Not any.
So this is a case where the turn order actually matters. Like if I'm fighting that creature and I'm going to kill it, I want to make sure that like either the creature that kills it I don't care about, or it poisons a creature that has enough health to deal with it.
I would really like to poison a champion.
There are actually some creatures in green that actually like getting poisoned. There's a creature that basically whenever it takes a damage, you gain a victory point. And so getting poisoned means you take a damage at the beginning of your turn. Oh man.
Oh well.
Sorry, we work under a gym.
Yeah, and they
so if you guys can hear the bouncing noise from upstairs, that's like someone flipping over a tire, I think.
So yeah, you have a bunch of really rocky type workout like that.
We're a bunch of nerds hiding under a bunch of bros upstairs, flipping tires over all day.
But we all work together somehow. Okay, so I attack full from all my creatures, but they all go into your pesky taunting dude here, and he gets 4 damage from my 4 attack and dies immediately. Yeah. So next time I could potentially attack the other creatures.
Yeah, so I no longer have a creature with taunt. Now everyone's vulnerable, even my amazing champion. Oh, by the way, taunt doesn't affect effects. So if you get an effect or that triggers damage to be dealt to a creature, you can ignore the taunt. Yeah.
Okay, so your turn. Do you remember where your guy was?
Not at all. Okay.
You
I mean, I know it's in this quadrant. Roughly.
You have 3 tries.
Yeah. I think it's this one. I can't remember now.
My tactic finally pays off. Talking you to.
Okay, that's yours. That's your healing minion, which I don't want you to get. Oh no, this is when you lose 2 health.
What?
When you flip it, you lose 2 health and deal 1 damage. It's like a little fast health trade. There it is. Now is it this one?
Of course.
No.
Of course. It was mine. Thank you so much.
Man. Okay.
You're so nice to me. But well, good for you. You get 1 extra move.
Yeah. So I get 2 victory points. If I get 1 more victory point, I end the game. So also if I can find this guy, I end the game.
The one Brian just flipped over me.
And that's
taunt, so I'm a bit more safe now. But yeah, you have 1 more.
It only has 1 health, so you're not that safe.
A bit.
Is it this
Every
one?
bit helps.
Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Match my dinosaur raptor guy. And this one also has taunt, so I've got taunt again.
So much taunt. We should roleplay these. Like, attack me, attack me.
So here's how I'm going to play my move. My minion is going to.
Well, it has to attack my taunt one first.
Yeah. Well, I can decide who attacks first.
Sure.
Oh, sorry. This guy at the beginning of my turn, I gain 1 victory point. So actually, I ended the game.
Oh,
when I found your guy.
Well, we got a bit distracted, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, I know. All right, I built both of these decks. I played them about 100 times last week at Essen, so I'm a bit familiar. I'm a bit too familiar with the cards.
Thanks for looking out for me, though. But I can manage myself.
Lorraine and John.
That's so nice of you guys. But I can assure you, I whooped his ass in some earlier rounds.
Yeah, Sebastian's definitely beaten me before, so this is not a totally staged game. So yeah, I actually forgot to gain that 1 victory point at the beginning of the turn. So I ended the game when I flipped your creature. Right. However, we do let people finish the turn. So whenever the game end is triggered, the active player still gets to finish their turn.
Has to finish? Okay.
Well, you can always say I'm done, but you still have to flip. You have to flip your cards on your turn.
So it can even turn the tides there.
Yeah. So actually, this is a chance for me to then kind of try and destroy some of your creatures.
Right.
Because
so
then it was my last move. So basically, I'm going to trade with your minion, which is like a net 0 move for me because we both lose 2.
Now we have options because the taunt
so taunt away. His taunt creature is dead, and now I can. His champion still only has 1 health, so I'm definitely going to get rid of that.
Right.
With a creature, do I have anyone?
Because he's worth 4 victory points, or she actually. So
do I have someone who can survive your attack? I think I do. I think my taunt raptor actually can take 2 hits. So.
But didn't you just?
Oh right, yeah. Sorry, you're right. That's cheating. This one has.
You can always try.
Actually, my champion can take the 2 hits.
Sure, he's tough.
Yeah, this champion actually at this point is a 4/4 because I just got the 10th victory point.
Right.
So now this creature is worth 4 health for attack power. So yeah, attack you there. What happens? We'll just use the tokens to show kind of how this goes. So your creature does 2 to me. Mine does 4 to you, but that's enough to kill you, so it's off the board.
Bye, missionist. Thanks
and
for
then, now we count up the victory point totals.
Do we actually? Because Shane would be.
Let's just go. Let's just do it for fun. That's 10 victory points, 14, 17, 20, 23. So 23 for me, and 9
for me, and 5 for my.
I mean, maybe So we're still the game is still obviously being balanced. This I think was I had some really Yeah, go ahead and get our
See my sad face.
yeah.
No, actually,
There's
it's fine.
so we're still balancing the game. Obviously, I think I had a lot of early turn advantage, and I got a lot of stuff that I remembered.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at this game at remembering. One of the interesting parts that I found when you play this game a lot in the same day, like if you play the same player in the same deck 5 times in a row, you will have a hard time remembering which game your memory comes from. Like, oh, I found your champion, and I think he's over there, but was that from this game, or was that the last game that I found this champion? So, so this is my first game of the day. Usually my first game of the day is a lot better than the 20th game of the day.
Well, what's my excuse then, I guess? Well, you of course know the game better than anyone else.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe that last move is overkill. Should the game just end immediately right when
Right.
We're still working at like little. I mean, kind of how we build the game is sort of like by doing house rules. We'll say like, oh, the new house rule. Let's play to more life or whatever. And then if we find it becomes more fun, we kind of incorporate that into the main rule.
Right. So there are many variations that you can play. Actually, one player asked me before, can you play sort of a mirror match, like green versus green within the same deck? We have enough creatures there to build 2 decks from one factions, don't we?
Yeah, you could. You would need some way of flagging them. So I would probably put like a piece of colored paper inside the sleeves so that you know. I mean, you obviously need to use the same sleeves. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't be able to tell from the back which card it is, but if you can put like a little like piece of confetti inside of your sleeve, that would actually do it. You haven't really done that yet.
Yeah. No, but it wasn't interesting to imagine.
The base game actually comes with enough cards to play almost 3 copies of the game at once. Right. So aside from the tokens, like you can make 3 separate decks, like 1 for each champion, and then have all of the cards like split across.
With 1 copy of the game, you could play with 6 people. So
yeah, you could even, if you did the confetti trick where you mark some cards, essentially, you could also play a 4-player game and just play on a bigger board with 4 players and see how it works. I think the game is super open to hacking. Then that's how we're designing it. We're just hacking everything in. This is the I think like the 20th iteration or so of the cards that we've printed. And even this is just the 20th of the ones that I did. Like before I joined the team, like this game started as a paper prototype for a mobile game. And that went through a lot of iterations as well. So I wasn't here from the beginning of the development of the mobile game. I was here for launch. But there were other designers who worked earlier on the project who we have like a library of card games that we built for prototyping reasons. So we had a lot to draw from when we built this game. So it's sort of like it's come together as a sort of like organic process from a lot of designers working on the same video game and saying like, oh, well, you know, a lot of video game designers, we test on paper because it's much faster to get stuff. You don't need an engineer to like program something for you. You just say like, I draw on a card and say, does this make the game more fun? And if it does, then we tell the programmer like, hey, we found something that made the game more fun. Why don't you why not put it in as a rule? Like let's add it to the game. So
that's the last part of designing a board game.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a dream for video game designers. Like I don't know very many video game designers who don't play board games on the side. And so, and since we all do paper prototyping anyway, it's a lot of fun. Everyone kind of has this dream of like, oh yeah, someday I'll make a board game. So like we decided like, hey, we've already got a board game. Like it's good. Like let's make it better. And then
why not too? So what would you say? One of the questions was, what's the main difference in your opinion between the app and the now existing?
Yeah. So the game is very different than the app, the card game. The board is much bigger, so the app has a 4x4 grid to play on. So, or 4x2, 4x4. Yeah, please. Early morning, more coffee. And so the video game also has you have hand cards, like the minions go in your hand. You play them as effects. There are no effect cards specifically. So those are the big differences at the moment.
And deck building, of course. Here we can actually.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment,
the video game is getting deck building. Spoiler alert. Like the video game is getting deck building as well. It's something that we always wanted to put in the game. But for technical reasons,
for you right here.
Technical reasons, it wasn't in yet, but that is definitely getting added. Again, the app is still in soft launch, so we're always improving it.
Yeah, actually, for those of you watching, Fightlings the app is soft launch in all the German-speaking countries in Europe.
Yeah,
and Poland, and with one more.
Netherlands. Yeah.
So yeah, you can check it out there in the app stores.
Yeah. And if you like it, one of the award tiers for Kickstarter actually gives you a bunch of money in the game too. So
yeah,
go ahead and try it if you live in Germany or Schweiz or Poland
or Österreich and the Netherlands, of course.
Right. So if you live there, give it a shot. It's a free app, and the artwork's really nice. We use all the same artwork from the mobile game.
Yeah. So Flores again asked the question: what in your what do you think is more important in the game, luck or skill? So we had a bit of luck.
I was a little lucky in that game. I turned over. If there was a few key moves, I think that the champion move was the one that really turned. I was already at a bit of creature advantage against you, but you had some good creatures as well.
Yeah. What if I had a creature and turned over your champion early?
You would have.
I could have just killed it.
Right? Because if Sebastian had gotten that same move on his turn, he would have flipped my champion or his champion first, and then my champion.
Yeah,
which would have caused him to get like a really, really strong champion on his turn. However, I was just a little bit lucky that time. We tend to play the game best 2 out of 3, so to try and neutralize any luck advantage that happens. So like, I would say this game certainly has more luck than many other card battlers because the decks are smaller. So you have 17 cards per deck instead of like 60 for Magic, or I can't remember the Android, it's like 40 cards in Android or so. So yeah, there's a little bit more luck in like the order that you get stuff out in.
And of course the way the game plays with the memory mechanic, flipping things over.
But it's not super luck based. Like I think there's still quite a bit of skill. Like I think we took a lot of time to describe what our thoughts were when we were playing the game. So you can certainly kind of dive deep into the mechanics and dive deep into like really how you make decisions. And you'll find yourself making decisions in ways that you don't in other card games. I'm more confident that I know that where 2 of my cards are, but I'm more confident about this one than the other one, so I'm going to flip over the one I'm less confident about because it drives me. So like these are the kind of decisions you'd never make in a game of Magic because there's no memory component. I mean, unless you're counting cards or well, like I don't know, like not that there's no memory in Magic, but it's our kind of unique memory mechanic that makes it like opens up these different strategic possibilities. And so I think a lot of the people I played with, there were some gamers who came by and played like 5 or 6 rounds with me at Essen as we kind of talked about the game. And at first, some of them were like, "Oh, this is just luck. Like you beat me." Or I mean, I would try not to play myself as much. I would try and find friends and have them play against each other, and so there was less of an advantage there.
Yeah,
and kind of just walk them through the process and kind of help guide them. But a lot of them would say like, "Oh, after the first game, it felt like it was very lucky," and then after the third game, they're like, "Oh, I just learned like here's some tricks."
Yeah, I think there's much depth to
like if you are coming from this background where you play like a lot of other deck builders like that are very similar, and the strategies are pretty similar across a lot of these other deck building games, then you kind of won't really be looking for the things that this game offers. Like you won't notice that there are strategies because you have to think in a totally different way.
Yeah, so it was nice in this game you actually explained.
And deck building is also like very important in this game. So like deck building is all skill. Like you can build a stronger deck or a weaker deck. You can
have synergies or just
and you can also think about like if you play the same person a lot. Like one of my friends we played Magic a lot of the time, like growing up, and still. And so whenever I'm visiting him, we bring a Magic deck and we play it. And I know he plays these really combo-y decks, so I have a feeling I know what kind of deck he would play in my game. When we were playing Magic together, he played these really combo-y decks all the time, and so I would start changing my deck building strategy to beat him. Like, because if every deck he built was like a combo deck, I had to start building super fast decks. So I got really into playing black and Magic, and then just making super fast decks that didn't rely on mana. Like, I think my favorite deck that I still play a lot only needs 3 mana to win and can win in 5 turns. It's like, because it was, and so I think you'll find the same when you play Fightlings. Like, if you play the same friend over and over, like, they're going to have a favorite champion, they're going to have a favorite deck building style.
And you can counter them and play fast or more common rules,
right?
More tech based. Right. So what will actually be in the box? It's one of the questions we have on our list. So when you get the game, what's in there?
So you get at least 96 cards. That's what our minimum quote is on Kickstarter. It's very likely we're going to get more. We've reached out to dozens of print manufacturers at this point. So, like, whoever we get the best quote from, whoever we can like confidently say is going to give us a high quality product at whatever speed is.
Yeah,
like we can figure out how long things take to ship, obviously.
So 96 cards.
So at least 96 cards, and
maybe more. We have some stretch goals. Check it out.
And yeah, the stretch goals will definitely help us get more cards, because the more money we have, basically free cards for everyone.
Yeah.
So the more people who back us, it allows us to. The more copies of the game that we buy, the cheaper our overhead gets. And that would allow us to print a bigger game for the same cost per game, essentially.
What else is in the box?
So the other thing in the box is the tokens, and that's it. You get cards and tokens.
Well, of course, we have a rule sheet also.
Right, rulebook.
Maybe rulebook.
And
everyone will be in the rulebook.
I think English we just call it a rulebook. It's not a book. Like, it can be a page.
Maybe it could be a book. Again, showing on these stretch goals.
I don't know if a book is really better. But yeah.
Well, we will discuss this.
Some rules. You get the rules, obviously. We're going to translate the rules into at least 4 languages. So we're going to cover Spanish, German, and Italian, I think. And
depending on
French.
the backers.
Depending on a lot of, I think we need to translate it into Dutch, and we got a lot of Dutch people who came to us and wanted to like the game. So for them,
just let us know, I guess.
If you can translate Dutch, talk to me. Send us an email. But I'm sure we can find a Dutch translator in Berlin. But there were many people who backed the game at us and who were from Belgium and Flanders.
Yeah, there's a great board game community in these countries.
Yeah.
That's from what I get.
Yeah. And then, we'll translate the rule book. The cards will be in English, but I will put more symbols on the cards, so it won't be completely textless, but it will be more symbolic, so it should be easier to understand. And we will put a translated copy of all the cards in the rulebook for the different translations. So if you're confused about a particular card, you can look in the French rulebook and see the French text for
it should be easy enough,
because that shouldn't be hard for us to do. It's just that the cards themselves we can't print multiple times. I mean, unless we got like 200 backers from a particular country, which I think is unlikely. So maybe, for at the moment we don't really see the possibility of translating the cards, but as it shouldn't be that big of an issue. I don't think we'll go completely textless. Like Race for the Galaxy is a completely textless game, and I think what
we're not there yet. We have many options on the cards. So
and Race for the Galaxy is also a fairly complex game, but I think it's a little bit tough to do a completely textless symbol set. Right. I think our cards are a little bit too diverse. I think we could get many of the cards will be symbols only, because like things like taunt we can turn into a symbol. Basically, our keywords will be symbols, and
poison, etc. Okay, so another question was regarding the shipping costs. So if you actually back us, you can see them, but for those of you who are interested beforehand, we will ship from Germany, and depending what your where it goes to, they're different. So right now we have to Germany €5, to the rest of the EU €8, and then the rest of the world €10 for the base game. And then if you have more copies, of course the shipping cost will be a bit higher, but not so high. We subsidize a lot of the shipping ourselves actually, so it doesn't get too expensive for you guys. So if you order 2 games, it's 7, 10, and €12 respectively from the different regions. And then, of course, there is the special version with the gaming mat that you guys asked for, because we really, as board gaming ourselves, really like gaming mats, and we have the different designs up there for vote, so you can vote which one you would like in the game. I think at the moment it's a bit tight, so yeah, if you're still undecided,
yeah, I
go down
today.
You ordered today, so nice.
Yeah, I put it back in the pile. That's the thing. I put it again, and
you were the one. So yeah, see what you want. Go down and click on the link for the poll. And for this version, of course, the shipping cost will be a bit higher because we have to roll the mat so it doesn't get damaged when folding it. And then it's much better. Yeah, it's a longer, big package, and we may ship it separately. So for this version, it would be 12, 18, or €20.
Yeah, it's a big mat from what I can tell. Yeah, based on our estimates so far, because the game, as you can see from our gameplay, it's not a very tiny game.
No.
So in the board game mat includes space for your creatures and for your tokens. So like health counters and victory point counters on the mat. So it's fairly large gaming mat. Although the box is quite small. This is the thing. This is the thing. Yeah. I have always been upset at how big board game boxes can get when the contents are so small. Like a lot of games. Not going to name any names, but put their game in a bigger box so that it has more shelf space and stuff. And because ours isn't going on shelves, we're just selling it to you.
So this is like the full cards deck, how it would look like.
Yeah.
So you can see it fits in box.
We have a box prototype. If you want
maybe our beautiful assistant can.
I will. Sebastian's going to get the box.
I will do that in just a moment.
How big it is. But essentially, we really measured out, like, if we have even like 150 cards sleeve, we included sleeves in the calculation because I think most board gamers are going to want to sleeve their cards to keep them easy to shuffle, nice and fresh. But this is our estimate for box size, so about this big, really small on the shelf. It's easy to throw in a backpack and can still fit essentially
all the cards and
tokens. 2 decks or 2 sets of 2 stacks of cards and the tokens in the middle. It might be a little bit thicker than this now, I think.
Could be, but more cards would be, of course.
Yeah, so the box size obviously changes based on that.
But if you're a big guy and have a big jacket, it can actually even fit in your jacket, so you don't have to take any photos with you.
Right.
So we're nearing the end of our stream. If there are any questions you guys have left, I think now's the time to ask them.
We printed out a bunch of questions.
Yeah, before we end. Lots of you submitted them, so I think we covered them all. If there's anything left, not at least mostly answered, we can do it now. Or if you guys have one or two, just throw them in here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the gameplay work I think we covered, except there's some questions about the early game strategy as well as how does the late game differ from the early game. So like early game strategy depends a lot on the faction you're playing and the deck you build, as with everything in the game. Right. But so like my early game strategy is that I like to put 2 minions out that I really want in the beginning. So this green deck we played, I have my victory point minion that gives me the single victory point I need so that my champion doesn't die.
Right.
So it's like super important that I get that out first, or at least I get some victory points before my champion. But that really helps ensure that it comes out. It's much more likely that I'm going to flip the minion than the other champion. And then I also like to put taunt minions in the early game, so I like to find my taunt guy early and then just like know that everything else is safe for a while.
Right. So you can focus on your combinations.
For orange, I think some of the decks I build for orange often will put buffers in the minion slots, so it's a little bit luck based. You're like hoping that you don't get the minions first, but then you get a creature and then you use your 2 minions to buff it a lot.
You can always buff them.
They can buff themselves. So if you get your buffing minions early before and you have any other creatures, then they can give themselves a buff. Well, there's a lot of orange minions that basically when they come into play, they grant another creature, or they grant a creature attack power and health. And so they can obviously do that to themselves, but they can also do it to other creatures. So if you get like orange, I think you're going to be looking for one of your guys who likes to take damage, like this runner guy, the tireless lookout. So whenever he takes damage, he gets attack power. And so if you can get this guy out first and then flip your minions that have buff, this guy gets really good because he's got enough health. Like you can try and get him poisoned even. Like, because then if he gets poisoned, he just gets.
That's what was one thing that I was thinking about actually. So
definitely seen within. I remember the first time we were playtesting with the poison ability. You were like, "Does it ever make sense to poison myself?" And I was like, maybe. And then you flipped your card and like, "Yeah, this guy, I want to poison him."
Yeah, I remember that once.
I'm just gonna win. And so I think you beat me by a ton of victory points that time because you just had a huge.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities that you can't really think of unless you witness them yourself.
Yeah, so any more questions? Anyone?
The chat seems to be satisfied. The list is satisfied. So I guess we are satisfied. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and having a look at Fightlings, the card game. We are still on Kickstarter till November the 15th. So
2 weeks left.
No, not really. Well, 9 days. 9 days. Just.
Oh,
so yeah. Time flies. So if you haven't already backed, I hope this was interesting for you. And if you are already a backer, thank you so much to you actually. Yeah, help us spread the word so we can reach our financing goal and of course some of these weak stretch goals because we have lots of cards left that we want to put in the game, but only can afford to put in the game if we have a little bit more money to work with. So have a little bit helps, tell your friends, tell your family, and until then, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, have a nice day.